It's just, it's over the top. It's beautiful. Oh my God! Goosies! Steven Tyler and Jennifer Lopez are not returning to American Idol for season 12, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Steven said in a statement released Wednesday, and I quote, "I've decided it's time for me to let go of my mistress, American Idol, before she boils my rabbit," and some other barely decipherable nonsense. Luckily, though, I have become fluent in Steven Tyler gibberish over the past 2 years, so I'll translate it for you. He quit before they fired him. We've seen it happen before. Ellen DeGeneres and Carey, they both quit before they got fired. I think Paula Abdul was the only one to actually quit and then try to spin it to make it look like she got fired, but she wasn't really fired. I, for one, am thrilled that Steven is leaving. I know he's a rock legend and all that jazz, and I love Aerosmith, but Steven Tyler has been the most useless judge in the history of televised singing competitions, although he might just have to relinquish that distinct honor in the fall when the X Factor begins. I got to see the X Factor auditions in Greensboro. Britney Spears? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. More about that later. And of course, Jennifer Lopez has been hinting at it for quite a while now, but today she called into Ryan Seacrest's radio show to confirm that she will not be back for next season. She said it's because she misses doing other things, but I'm not buying that because she hasn't ever stopped doing other things. She had another TV show, she's still doing movies, she's still making music, she's going on tour, she's in every other commercial. What else does she want to do? A lot of people thought that she was just holding out for more money, but I never really believed that because she didn't have any bargaining chips. Ratings are down, and they aren't going to rise just because she stays on the show, and they aren't going to fall just because she leaves the show. So I seriously doubt that she would be making anywhere near what she made last season. And Fox was not going to let her jerk them around until the last minute like she did last year and the year before that. And they have said that the door is still open for her and they'd love to have her back, but they never said at what pay scale or capacity. Good odds are, if they had offered her a job again for the next season, they probably would have gave her minimum wage to sweep up confetti during the commercial breaks or something like that. Well, hey, she did say she wanted to do other things. And according to Us Weekly, Mariah Carey is this close to signing a deal to be a judge next season, and so I knew when I read that Jennifer Lopez was not going to be back. They hate each other. So they are going to be sitting there at the table together. Remember back in 2001 when Mariah had to be hospitalized? Well, the word on the street was that she thought that Jennifer Lopez was out to get her. The official story was that she was exhausted or something like that. But isn't that always the go-to word that celebrities always use when they've misplaced a few of their marbles? Not only that, but there were rumors that Carey was fired because J-Lo had it in her contract that she was to be the only woman sitting at the judges table, and if she wouldn't share the spotlight with old Carey, she sure is not going to share it with a woman that's not only more famous than her, but infinitely more talented. Plus, I would imagine that Mariah is demanding a lot more money than Jennifer Lopez, and she'll get it, so she'll likely soak up the judges' budget like a sponge, so the other judges are going to be getting like pocket change. So I think it's safe to assume we're going to see a clean sweep next season. Us Weekly is reporting that Randy Jackson's judging days are over too, but he won't be leaving the show. He'll be the new mentor, which leads me to think that maybe him and Jimmy Iovine will be switching places, or maybe Randy will be the mentor and Jimmy will remain as the Monday morning quarterback, which wouldn't bother me one bit, but I'm not convinced that Jimmy would be a great judge. He's fine as the Monday morning quarterback, but have you noticed whenever he's on the live shows, on the results shows, he's not very good on the spot. All he seems to do is laugh nervously. So I don't even know if he would be that great on the show. I think maybe Jimmy is just shy in front of all those people, so I don't know if that would work. But there's a million names being floated around. Most recently, and most ridiculously, Charlie Sheen and Jerry Lewis. Well, Nigel Lithgow was joking around with reporters and mentioned them as possible judges. And, well, it was obvious to me that he was being sarcastic. Nigel Lithgow is a very sarcastic person. But then, next thing you know, on what I thought were reputable news sources, were treating it like a serious story. For one, Charlie Sheen is, well, he's Charlie Sheen. And Jerry Lewis is, 200 years old? He doesn't even do his own telethons anymore, so there's no truth to those rumors. We can just put them to rest now and not ever mention them again. Other names that are being tossed around, Miley, Cyrus, and Nicki Minaj. You can forget about that too because they are both too polarizing. They would never be hired as judges on the show. I will eat my own words if they are ever judges on the show. Anyway, another name that's more seriously being tossed around is Season 8 runner-up Adam Lambert. I'm a little bit conflicted about that because, on one hand, I hate it when they treat anyone other than the winner as the star of the show, when they treat the runner-up as if they're better. I've always thought that when it comes to the point where winning doesn't matter, and you hear them say it all the time, but it's the exception to the rule, but when it becomes the rule, then the show ends. So I hate that aspect of it. But on the other hand, I think he'd be a pretty good judge. We saw him as a mentor, and I've seen him on Twitter, and he's not afraid to speak his mind, and I think he'd be very critical of some of the people. Plus, I think he's worried about his own career, not only his singing career, but his career as a celebrity, so I think he would want to become the star of the show because, they might pay him $1 million for one season, and if he does really well, he might be able to ask for $15 million next year. So I think he would be not bad. I think it's all going to depend on if Mariah Carey does it. Because if Mariah Carey doesn't do it, well, then they have a much bigger budget. But if she does it, I think they'll probably have... she'll probably be the pretty one, the Paula Abdul type that isn't very harsh to people and tells people how pretty they look. And they'll probably want... I think they're wanting to recreate the original Judges format. Have one person that's very critical. I think Adam Lambert would fill that role. Or Jimmy Iovine. I think they're in the running for the same spot. I don't think we're going to see them both on the judges panel. I think we're going to see either Adam or Jimmy. I think if they get Adam, they'll probably try to offset him with somebody more wholesome. Because the audience over the past few years has always voted for the wholesome, good-looking boy with wholesome family values that loves Jesus. And so they'll probably get a country singer, and country singers have always done well on the show. So I'm convinced that they'll probably get a country singer to sit in Randy Jackson's spot, and Randy Jackson will probably be a mentor, and I think he'd probably be a very good mentor because he works behind the scenes. I don't know if he's a very good judge because he tends to mimic what other people say and wants to be a yes man, but I think behind the scenes, Randy Jackson is used to digging in his nails and really working, and so I think working to make sure that the contestants have good performances would be very good for him. As opposed to Jimmy, who just basically sits there and says, oh yeah, that was good. If you do that on the show, you're going to be safe. And then when they do the same exact thing, he says, oh, well, they didn't do it the way I said, or I made a mistake, or something like that. So I don't know if Jimmy would be a good judge or anything. I think Jimmy is pretty much a Monday morning quarterback. Plus, now let's look at the money aspect. You need someone that is not so filthy rich that the show doesn't matter to them. Jimmy Iovine, from reports that I've read, and I've read several different ones, so I don't know exactly his net worth, but I've read 400 million, 500 million, and 700 million. So either way, he's so filthy rich that he'll never have to work, his children will never have to work, and his grandchildren will never have to work. But somebody like Adam Lambert would take it very seriously if he wants to become filthy rich. So I think Adam would probably be a better choice than Jimmy. So anyway, that's it for the American Idol news this week. If there's any more, I'll be right back on. And over the weekend, we'll talk about the X Factor auditions. I went to the X Factor auditions in Greensboro, so I know exactly how these judges are going to be. Yeah. So anyway, who would you all like to see as judges? I'm thinking it's going to be Adam, Mariah, and I can't think of the wholesome country person. I don't know if it'll be a man or a woman. I think it'll probably be a man if they have Adam. They'll try to offset the diva and the gay. A lot of people think that people won't tune into the show if Adam Lambert's on it because he's gay, but people didn't stop watching when Ellen was on the show, so I don't think that's the case. Who would you like to see as a judge? Katy Perry's name has also been floated around, but she said that it's not the right time for her. Of course, they probably haven't offered her enough money. I think anybody would do it if the money's right. And she was a very good guest judge when she was on, but I don't know how she would do over an entire season. We saw edited clips of her during the auditions, and I thought that Jennifer Lopez and Steven Tyler were fantastic during the auditions in season 10. Boy, did that change. So anyway, that's it for today. If there's any more news, I'll be back.